Prospective candidates, log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Gonna be auctioned off. And she lent money to Jack on purpose with my stock shares as pledge. She schemes with Pinky to get us down. What an...
I have always loved you. I'm overjoyed that you came back to life.
Why are you still begging her to come back to you?
Can you just stay out of my sight, you crazy woman? You're to blame for all of this.
My husband stole your land? How could he know your father at all?
Go back and ask him about it.
Did you know that while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause? Stop these crashes before they stop you. Ensure that you adhere to traffic rules to prevent these crashes. Always observe the fatal 6 to be safe. When driving, please ensure that your speed is within the stipulated limits, the road ahead is clear before overtaking, stick to your lane, keep left unless carefully overtaking. Ensure that you are well rested before driving on long distance, and never drink and drive. Usalama barabarani starts with you. Fika salama. This message is brought to you by NTSA and the European Union.
Good evening and welcome to Self-Care Tips. I am Irene Joroge and we're going to talk about how to keep your cool when you're under pressure. You don't have to be someone who's working in a high-pressure office to encounter these things. You could be even at home, a housewife, a student, a college person, or even somebody who is just not doing anything, but you find that that in itself gives you a lot of pressure. When you're under pressure, it is important to take charge and to be in control so that it does not get worse, it does not escalate. Remember, anything we discuss here is indeed helpful, but always seek the advice of a doctor or a medical professional who will help you through some of these things. If you have ever experienced burnout, you know how important it is to always take a breather. When you don't take time off, you'll find yourself doing things over time. After 3 years of living like this, you could find yourself on the way to a meltdown. When you experience a meltdown, here are the signs. Number 1, you become scatterbrained. You actually don't have thoughts that are in line, your thoughts are not processed, and you also look frazzled and disorganized. At the same time, you're not performing. You seem to be doing things, but you're just running on the spot, just doing things on auto mode. This is definitely a sign of meltdown. And when this happens, you can be sure that the next call you're going to get is from human resources. Therefore, take a breather. Keep your weekends for yourself. Get me time. Don't let it be always about pressure, always about work, and always about looking for money. Of course, these things are very important, but at the same time, you need space. You need a break. Take time to pray. Take time to relax. Take time to spend time away from your work. And this way, you will survive any burnout or meltdown. This is Self-Care Tips on how to keep cool during times of pressure. I am Irene Joroge.
Did you know that while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause? Stop these crashes before they stop you. Ensure that you adhere to traffic rules to prevent these crashes. Always observe the fatal 6 to be safe. When driving, please ensure that your speed is within the stipulated limits, the road ahead is clear before overtaking, stick to your lane, keep left unless carefully overtaking. Ensure that you are well rested before driving on long distance, and never drink and drive. Usalama barabarani starts with you. Fika salama. This message is brought to you by NTSA and the European Union.
Hello from wherever you're watching us. It's Monday, the 25th day of April 2022. This is KBC Prime Edition, coming to you live from Broadcasting House right here in the capital city, Nairobi, Kenya.
And the body of the late former president, Emilio Mwai Kibaki, lying in state for the first day, and this will continue until Wednesday, and Kenyans continue to send in their condolences and, of course, telling, people how they remember him for.
That's right. How do you remember him yourself?
Oh, wow. To me, President Kibaki was like a grandfather. I found him very funny. Each time I saw him, I was prepared to laugh.
Okay.
He was connecting with the young demographic, and there was a point he was warning young people not to drink, not indulge in drinking. And he said it in a very funny way. I'm not telling you this because I do not drink. It was very funny, but the point was home.
And very clever. A brilliant way of connecting with the younger demographic. How about you? How do you remember the late president?
For me, coming from an area where tension remains high due to the resurgence of the cattle rustling, I'll remember him for the fight he put against cattle rustling. He actually even asked people, kama kazi yako ni kuiba ng'ombe, uko na maana gani? Hauna maana kabisa. And that was the point where he referred to people as mafia kuku. So being a market where cattle rustling is very serious, I recommend him for the fight he put against cattle rustling, and may his soul rest in eternal peace.
Well, what I remember about him was his low-key style of leadership. He was brilliant. He was a competent technocrat, and he rejected having his name on the portrait of our Kenyan currency. And those are the things that really stood out. Of course, there were moments of hiccups here and there.
Oh, yes.
But in the African culture, we prefer to remember the pleasant memories. Thank you for joining us. And we are starting this live broadcast with our headline stories.
Respect befitting an icon, body of the late President Mwai Kibaki, lying in state at Parliament building.
Returning home in honor of the former president, Raila cuts a short US trip to attend burial.
And it's back to school. Learning resumes as parents decry cost of education materials. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. My name is Mboya.
And I'm Purity Museo at KBC Channel 1 News at Mboya24. And of course, the hashtag to use tonight is Prime Edition. Lensa Odinga is our sign language interpreter tonight.
We begin with our top story. President Uhuru Kenyatta Monday led the nation in the viewing of the body of the late former President Emilio Mwai Kibaki, which lay in state at Parliament buildings.
Deputy President Dr. William Ruto was among the dignitaries who joined the head of state in paying their homage to the late former president of Kenya.
Timothy Kipnusu opens our coverage.
President Uhuru Kenyatta on Monday led the nation in the viewing of the body of the late retired President Mwai Kibaki. The motorcade of the head of state arrived at the Parliament buildings at 10 a.m. The president was received by the Deputy President William Ruto in a rare show of unity, political differences aside, and the two speakers of the Parliament.
Thank you.
Leaders eulogizing the late former president as a man who turned around the country's economy, with many urging aspirants eyeing different positions in the August polls to emulate the late president.
All the leaders who aspire to be in various positions, whether they are members of parliament, especially governors, and those who aspire for presidential positions, we expect and we want to encourage them to put economy central to the country so that we are able to move to the next level.
The bottom line is to grow our economy, make sure that we mechanize our agriculture, like what Museo started, make sure that we have more industries so that we can do value addition for our products, and make sure that our people work.
When he got to the reins of power, he was able to give us many universities, privatized even education by making it possible to have private universities, and even opened up opportunities in our public universities.
Yeye binafsi kama kiongozi alikuwa amechukia ufisadi na alifanya lolote liwe kwamba wakati hata cabinet ilihusishwa na ufisadi na tukapata serikali iko na madai ya ufisadi wakati alikuwa rais, aliweza kuwafuta kazi mawaziri.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Well, how do you remember the late President Emilio Mwai Kibaki?
Please do engage us on our social media platforms. We are live on all of them at KBC Channel 1 News, at Purity_Museo, at Mboya24. The hashtag to use, that's on Twitter, is Prime Edition.
So get on your phone. Hundreds flocked Parliament buildings to view the body of the former President Mwai Kibaki.
The long queues stretching from Parliament buildings to City Hall, almost 800 meters away.
Nanso Kware with that story.
Monday marked the first day where the body of retired President Mwai Kibaki will lie in state at Parliament buildings for 3 days. Kenyans from all walks of life thronged to the Parliament precincts and queued patiently to view the body of the former head of state. Some traveling from as far as Kakamega to pay their respects to the late former president.
Hani nakuambia nilishikwa na usuni vile nilisikia president akitangaza ni rais mwenye nilipenda sana. So kwa hivyo nasafiri kutoka Kakamega kule Shinyalu kwa vijiji kule. So paka nafika hapa Nairobi kuona mwili. Nashukuru kwa ajili ya kupata nafasi kuenda kutazama mwili.
Nyumbani ni Kakamega, Lwandeti Mahanga. Nilikuwa nampenda sana president wetu na alituongoza vizuri, akatuletea maendeleo, ndio maana nikasema nifike hapa.
Kenyans eulogizing Kibaki as a leader who drove the country's economy forward and engineered reforms in the education sector.
Tusaidia sana upande wa ujenzi wa taifa. Kitu ya kwanza alifumbua upande wa CDF, kutoa shule free education, hospitali free.
Tunajivunia kwake yeye kwa sababu ya free primary education, kwa sababu ya gharama. Je, ingekuwa wakati huo na sasa ile gharama ambao ya wazazi wangelipa na wakati huu vile economy vile iko sasa, wazazi wangeumia sana.
Nakumbuka marehemu Kibaki kwa kazi kubwa ambayo alifanya akiwa president, kwa kutengeneza mabarabara nyingi na pia stima.
Kibaki alikuwa mzuri juu alitengeneza Thika highway, super highway.
Alikuwa anatukuta na chafu. Anatuambia tuvae viatu. Anasema vijana wa country basi waoge, wasaidiwe vile wanaweza oga na wavae viatu. Kwa hivyo siwezi sema huyu mzee alikuwa mbaya. Kama ni pesa ya kusaidia alikuwa anapewa vijana sana.
The body of the late president will lie in state at Parliament until Wednesday, with Kenyans urged to turn up in large numbers to pay their respects. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Many people continuing to send in their last respects to the late President Emilio Mwai Kibaki. How do you remember him?
Please do engage us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News, at Purity_Museo, at Mboya24. The hashtag is Prime Edition. We are also live on Facebook and YouTube.
The convoy escorting the body of the late president left the Lee Funeral Home at 10 minutes to 7, headed for Parliament buildings.
The exercise was conducted with military precision, and here is more with John Jacob Curia.
At 10 minutes to 7 a.m. at Lee Funeral, a Kenyan flag-draped casket was hoisted on a military carriage headed for Parliament buildings for the solemn ceremony of viewing the body of Kenya's third president, Mwai Kibaki. The convoy snaking through Valley Road, Kenyatta Avenue to Uhuru Highway, Parliament Road, and finally to Parliament buildings at exactly 7:15. The Kenya Defence Forces soldiers lifted the casket from the carriage to Parliament buildings.
National salute! Present arms!
As the military band hummed solemn tunes from their instruments. Then senior dignitaries and government officials started to stream to Parliament buildings as the military continued to prepare the body for viewing. 10 minutes to 10 a.m., the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, arrives in Parliament buildings to usher in President Uhuru Kenyatta, who would arrive 12 minutes later to lead the nation in celebrating a man described as a gentle giant, an economist par excellence, and the initiator of a free primary education. The body of the late president lying on a white presidential standard flag, which is the standard he used during his reign as president. Retired Bishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of Nairobi, Cardinal John Jue, would read a few convocations before the body viewing began.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning.
President Kenyatta and First Lady Margaret Kenyatta leading the park. Followed by President Kibaki's family, the Deputy President, service commanders, speakers of both houses of Parliament, majority and minority leaders in both chambers, cabinet secretaries, senior government officials and opinion leaders in the country, diplomats, and finally members of the public. The body viewing will continue on Tuesday and Wednesday, ahead of interdenominational service at Nyayo Stadium on Friday, and the burial ceremony in his native Othaya home on Saturday. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Narok County Commander Kizito Mutoro, who served as the late President Mwai Kibaki's personal bodyguard for 10 years, has eulogized the former president as an astute, charming, and charismatic leader.
Kizito described the late president as a jovial and forgiving man who never missed church, where he freely mingled with Kenyans from all walks of life.
Ben Troy Njue is on that story.
Moja wao ya familia hiyo, kwa sababu tumekaa nao na mzee kwa miaka mingi sana. The close protective unit ile yake.
John Kizito Mutoro, who worked for the late former president for the 10 years as the leader of the close protection unit, has hailed the late leader as a man who highly valued education and even urged his security personnel to put emphasis on the same.
Alikuwa anapenda elimu sana. Na kila mara kitu kikitokezea lazima tu angeleta tu furaha. Kwa hivyo alikuwa ni mzee mcheshi, rafiki na ni baba.
He called on Kenyans to emulate him as he was a non-tribal leader ready to lend an ear to everyone.
Alikuwa ni president ambaye anajua kutupatia mwelekeo kwa pati ya elimu. Hakutaka kujua ni nani, unatoka wapi, si ati labda ingekuwa ati ni Mkikuyu ama ni mtu kutoka Gema ama kutoka zile area. No. Familia hiyo ilikuwa inatu accommodate zote.
According to the police boss, Kibaki was a prayerful man who never missed a Sunday service and did not prefer a special seat for him in church.
Kila wakati tulikuwa tukifanya sala, kuomba. Kila wakati kama hatujakula tunaomba, kila mahali tunaomba. Sundays tunaenda kanisa na anafuata kanisa vile inaendelea. Mzee alikuwa ni mtu wa kuforgive. Mtu akimkosea, wale kama mkimkosea, kisha mwambie tu pole kwisha.
He fondly remembered the many times the former head of state used humor and charisma to lighten up the room every time during work.
Mzee mwenyewe alikuwa ni mcheshi. Malipota alingeweza kukutana na watu, unasikia tu ni story, mambo hata ungejua ni president. Alikuwa na interact na kila mtu.
For Prime Edition, I'm Ben Troenjue.
Now, members of the public have been given an opportunity to pen down their commiserations in honor of the late President Emilio Mwai Kibaki from Tuesday at the CDF offices in Othaya.
Burial preparations are meanwhile ongoing at the president's residence in Othaya, Nyeri County.
A requiem mass will be held on Saturday 30th at approved stadium in Othaya, followed by the burial at his rural home.
Frederick Mwoki reports.
Somber mood continues to engulf in Othaya, Nyeri County as political and religious leaders and residents mourn the demise of former President Mwai Kibaki. Members of the public will be able to jot down their commiserations through the office of CDF in Othaya. Gathe Muruga, who worked for Kibaki at State House for 22 years, eulogized Kibaki as an outstanding person with passion for development.
Tena uhusiano wake na watu wale wengine ulikuwa wabere sana kusimama na kuongea na mtu na roho safi na tena mkarimu ikiwa ni kukusaidia yoyote
na kwake tutamumiss tena hata kwa golf club huko Nyeri.
Other political leaders led by Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria said Kibaki was a true economist who valued affairs of development for the nation.
High sense of what we call cause-effect relationship. He knew when I do this, this will happen. And that's why he was able to have very balanced development in this country.
And as I said, he was a man of few words. He would then leave. And we used to love him. And he was a good man.
Those years that he served in government, we have never had any allegations leveled towards him concerning corruption. So that is something that we should emulate as leaders.
Othaya Teaching and Referral Hospital, or now that is what it is called now. It should be called Mwai Kibaki Othaya Teaching and Referral Hospital in honor of our departed sage.
All is set for the burial ceremony, which is scheduled to be held this Saturday at approved stadium in Othaya. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Kenyans still paying their tribute to a president who rejected naming of projects that he oversaw under his watch. Well, just a quick reminder that they can also join us by sending in
Absolutely, because
the tribute.
The body is still lying in state up to Wednesday, and
3
of
days.
course, and of course the burial will be on Saturday. So please send in your condolences at KBC Channel 1 News at Purity_Museo at Mboya 24. The hashtag is Prime Edition.
All right, and we are taking a short break at this point. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
has come a long way in ICT development. The government set up the Universal Service Fund to bring communication services to remote and hard-to-reach parts of the country. We are ensuring that every Kenyan is connected to business, to better education, to better healthcare, to a better life, so that no one is left behind in our journey to a digitally transformed nation. Communications Authority of Kenya, opening your world.
Did you know that while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause? Stop these crashes before they stop you.
Just wanna dance and listen some robado. Chill out and make love to the music I love. They can't stop my love, no, none of them can stop my love, no. They can't stop my love with it.
And never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by NTSA and the European Union.
You have to make that up.
I didn't make anything up. Everything I said is the truth. I swear to you.
But didn't I know anything about it?
Well, that Gonzalo is often hot-headed, but I think he would be incapable of doing something that despicable.
Paulina decides to keep seeing Adria. Will you support your daughter? Or Gonzalo?
I don't want to see Adrian in this house ever again.
But Daddy, Adrian...
No, but your relationship with him is over.
I both know that everything she said was true. Well, yes, clearly you didn't only steal my money, but also that of the other partners.
Well, there you are. How do you remember the late former President Mwai Kibaki? Talk to us on our social media platforms, which are...
At KBC Channel 1 News, at Purity_Museo, at Mboya 24, the hashtag is Prime Edition. And tonight, on our weekly segment, the cabinets.
We pay tribute to the late former President Emilio Mwai Kibaki.
Stanley Mwai Kibaki on 15th November 1931 in Gatugaine village, Othaya, in present-day Nyeri County. Kibaki worked as a lecturer at Makerere University in Uganda. Kibaki returned to Kenya to become KANU's executive officer and helped draft Kenya's independence constitution. In 1962, Kibaki was elected the Member of Parliament for Donholm constituency, present-day Makadara. Subsequently, he was appointed Assistant Minister for Finance and Chairman of the Economic Planning Commission in 1963. He played a key role in drafting the famous 1965 sensational paper number 10 on African socialism and its application to planning in Kenya. He would be promoted to become Minister for Commerce and Industry in 1966.
Well, we used to sell about 10% of our total manufactured products to Tanzania. As it is now, with the border closed, we are not selling very much. We're still selling some. But we have found other markets. So the adjustment has been a little bit painful, but we've made it.
and later Minister for Finance and Economic Planning in 1969 after he was re-elected to Parliament to represent Donholm constituency. Following what he said to be pressure from his closest rival in the 1969 elections, Ms. Jael Mbogo, Kibaki moved his political base from Nairobi to Othaya in 1974. He attributed this to what he termed calls from the people of Othaya. He was overwhelmingly elected Othaya MP in 1974, getting re-elected to Parliament in 1979, 1983, 1988, 1990.
Now, let's shift gears and move into the world of politics. And the Azimio la Umoja Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate Raila Odinga is tonight urging Kenyans in the diaspora to support his presidential bid, which is anchored on a prosperous nation based on Vision 2030.
Raila, who is in Washington, D.C., outlined his 10-point agenda, which include job creation and revival of collapsed industries, which he says that are key drivers of economic growth.
Well, leaders accompanying him said that the coalition is guided by a desire to bring meaningful change in Kenya and not selfish political interests.
The former Prime Minister, who had been scheduled to be in the U.S. for a week, will cut short his trip to return to the country to attend the burial of the former President Mwai Kibaki, whom he served together in the Grand Coalition government after the 2007 contested election.
The President passed on when I was here. The first President passed on when I was coming here. And therefore I have to cut short my trip again to go back and bury President Mwai Kibaki. But that is fate. All the same, we are happy to meet all of you again here today and I see a new spirit among the Kenyan diaspora in the United States.
We are looking for a team leader who can be trusted, a person who has been tried and tested, a person who has been consistent and passionate in fighting for the rights of Kenyans. There is no other person in the race except Baba the Fifth.
And I can say quite clearly that from the looks in the political terrain, we have a president with us.
I have also come to confirm that from Central Kenya, for the first time in the history of Kenya, we are going to vote for Baba.
Now, on education, schools across the country reopen this week in the 2022 academic year after a 7-week break.
Even with free education and government assurance that no child will be turned away due to lack of school fees, parents are decrying the high cost of education materials.
As Zainab Said reports.
It is back to school as classes reopen for first term in the 2022 education calendar. Parents trooping to bookshops and uniform outlets to shop for their children. But for many, the cost of education material is now worrying.
Saisi ni kama double because I've been buying here, all my vitabu zangu zote wananunua hapa. So ukikombea price inakuwa ni kama double the price compared with other wakati mwingine.
Already battered by the high cost of living, many lament that the cost of books mainly for grade 6 CBC pupils was unrealistic and is making a mockery of the all-free concept.
Kujipanga kama mzazi. Kwa sababu mimi niko na twins, so you can imagine naweka times 2. So far nimefika karibu 25,000 na sijamaliza yote. Sasa niko na twins, nikinunua hii lazima ninunue hii. Na mara mingi watakange mzee wanataka zile mpya.
For Rose Kageha, a mother of 4, she has to balance her budget, forcing her to forgo buying sweaters due to high prices.
Nimeuliza na nikarudisha sababu iko juu sana. Maisha ya wananchi imeenda juu na pesa sikuwa nayo ya kutosha. Wananiambia ni 28.75 na mimi niko na 25.
The only call for Kagea is to the government to address the high cost of living.
Enda kulipa fees, hata kama wanasema school fees ni free, si free. Kuna pesa ile inatakana ulipe ya chakula huko kwa shule na vitu zingine. So hata cha kukula uwezi kuwa nayo. Serikali ituangalie sisi watu wa chini.
In Mombasa County, a section of parents with students joining grade 6 claim they cannot access some books.
Tuanguzie miguu ya magari na mafuta. Kutoka hapa kwenda Embu tunakunywa mafuta ya 1,000. Sasa tunakunywa 17. Kwenda kurudi ni 34. Hebu fanya hiyo hesabu uone.
From uniform centers, bookshop centers and transport sector is a beehive of activities as parents rush to ensure a smooth start of 2022 Term 1 learning. For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
Well, it's darkest before dawn. Chief Justice Martha Koome has launched the decentralization of operations of the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal, PPDT, in 7 counties.
The CJ says the judiciary will leverage on technology for efficient delivery of justice by the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal through the e-filing system.
Well, before this move, all political parties disputes were filed in Nairobi, as Sarafina Robi reports.
It is a sigh of relief as the judiciary ends the incessant trouble where all disputes arising from political parties' primaries were filed in Nairobi. This is after Chief Justice Martha Koome launched the decentralizing of operations of the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal in 7 counties, which include Nairobi at the Milimani Law Courts, Meru, Mombasa, Kisumu, Kakamega, Nyeri and Eldoret.
In John's outside Nairobi, we are sure that Kenyans can now access justice regarding political disputes without having to travel long distances to access justice in Nairobi.
In order to ensure the process is seamless, the judiciary has vowed to use the e-filing system to ensure the process is cost-effective, expeditious and convenient.
That we have activated an e-filing system for the PPDT. This means that we expect those who will be filing cases before the tribunal to use the online filing system.
In line with this, court administrators of each of the 7 identified court stations and ICT offices have been designated to be on standby to assist any persons who will be in need of guidance or assistance on filing of their political disputes. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Safina presidential aspirant Jimmy Wanjigi has called on government to rework the competency-based curricula, saying that it will not address emerging needs in the education sector.
Wanjigi said results of the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education released on Saturday brought out a gap that he said will not be addressed by the new curriculum.
The results released Saturday, more than 46,000 students who set the exam scored an E, a trend that Safina presidential aspirant Jimmy Wanjigi says is worrying. Wanjigi now wants the government to rethink the competence-based curriculum, claiming the results had exposed serious gaps in the education sector that even CBC has failed to address.
The results that have come out of KCSE results are disastrous. They are disastrous. They are pain in very many homes in this country. Severe pain to parents and to students.
The Safina presidential aspirant says through CBC, most learners are more likely not to take up innovative skills.
There is a great sense of hopelessness and uncertainty with our children, parents and teachers. And this goes to a fundamental issue that we do not have a proper education philosophy. We are unclear about exams and its outcomes, and we are unclear about its aims. Education, as you know, is fundamental to achieving human potential, developing an equitable society, and promoting national development.
Wanjigi, however, lauded the late former President Mwai Kibaki's administration, which he claims had invested in education through free primary education and the expansion of secondary schools and universities, enabling many Kenyan children to acquire education.
brings us to our first break. Carol Njenga is on standby.
Second break, actually.
Mm-hmm.
All
Second
right.
break. Second break. It's been a tough day.
Karen Kibet is also on standby with the day's sports news. You do not want to miss that. But remember, we are asking you, how do you remember the late former President Mwai Kibaki? Do engage us. We are live on our social media platforms. Let's also keep it interactive on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News, at Museo, at Mboya24. The hashtag is Prime Edition.
And you promised to read some of those feedback.
I will be sampling them just before the tail end of this broadcast.
Put that on your phone.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
We have a lot of stories, and there's an interview that I enjoyed.
East African pop star Nadia Mukami released her sophomore EP, Bundle of Joy, over the week, exclusively on one of Africa's leading streaming services.
We need to shift from the narrative that Kenyans don't read, because you can see so many bookstores, there are so many upcoming bookstores.
Just continue to invest in their craft, continue to write, continue to read.
Some people dream of success, while Good Morning Kenya is here to make that happen. Start your day with authentic updates that can make or break your day. Make sure you know before you go. Join Jane Wamboi, Doreen Okello, Regina Manyara, and Victor Olo to share every morning with you. It doesn't matter where you are. You can always access Good Morning Kenya from different devices. Good Morning Kenya. Every Monday to Thursday from 6:30 to 10 a.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Let's now focus on today's business. My name is Carol Njenga. Milk prices will continue to rise in the next few weeks as animal feed stocks dwindle. Animal feeds manufacturers say the price of the daily meal has gone up by 700 shillings and is likely to increase as maize stocks in Tanzania dwindle. The miller are further urging the government to allow feed millers to purchase maize from the strategic food reserve.
According to animal feed manufacturers, Kenya faces a huge deficit in animal feed, which is estimated to be 500,000 tons. The manufacturers are warning that the current stock cannot last up to October, when Kenya expects the next maize harvest. The scarcity is further expected to lead to an increase in milk prices.
Farmers are not able to feed their cows on these feed supplements because, feed supplements are what are used to feed the cows to increase milk production. But not because the cost of feed is high, many farmers are no longer feeding their cows.
Milk prices have gone up by more than 30% in the last 6 months. A litre of the commodity is now retailing at an average of 130 shillings, up from 90 shillings in June 2021. To stabilize prices of animal feeds and livestock products, the government has been advised to allow feed millers to purchase maize from the strategic food reserve to cushion the millers from high maize prices.
Should the strategic grain reserve have any maize above the requirements for human food, then, like they have done before, 3 years ago, they should allow us to buy whatever is over and above the requirement for milling.
The millers say a bag of maize jumped to 4,500 shillings from 3,700 shillings late last year.
Feed prices are high because the cost of maize is high. Maize being one of the ingredients that is necessary in feed manufacturing.
Among other proposals, the feed manufacturers want the yellow maize import window increased to 3 years from the current 1 year, as the Russian-Ukraine war has disrupted the feed supply chain, increasing global feed prices by 40%.
The government give 3 years, and in those 3 years, number one, we should have sufficient time to close any deals with commodity dealers internationally, but also secondly, the disruptions in logistics worldwide will have settled down.
Currently, manufacturers are importing maize from Tanzania at 4,200 shillings per 90 kg bag. Benson Ruba reporting for Prime Edition.
Motorists in Migori, Kisii, Kericho and Thika are still grappling with fuel supply challenges for the 5th week in a row, despite measures put in place to stabilize supplies. A spot check by KBC found that most petrol stations in these areas did not have fuel, with those with the commodity experiencing long queues. Fuel shortage continues to bite hard in some areas as most petrol stations are experiencing supply challenges. A spot check by KBC found that motorists and boda riders in Migori, Kisii, Kericho, Busia and Juja were queuing for hours to get fuel at a few filling stations that had fuel. This is despite the government announcing there is sufficient stock that could last the country until June.
Naumia na washaongezea bei. Tunaona hiyo shida bado iko. Hata kama tuliambiwa mafuta imeongezewa na tukakubali mafuta imeongezewa, na bado uko na hiyo shida ya mafuta.
In Kisii, motorists armed with jerrycans have returned as they hunt for the precious commodity in vain, with some saying they were buying fuel between 190 shillings and 220 shillings.
Walisema kwamba fuel itakuja. Jameni, hata kwa sasa, hata mkitazama hapa nyuma, kuna mrundiko wa pikipiki na magari, hakuna fuel.
Kama 20 minutes. Lakini si mbaya sana in other areas.
This is way above the April recommended price of almost 145 shillings and 90 cents per litre of super petrol. Petrol stations attendants say they are facing difficulties accessing fuel. The situation is similar in Kericho, where most petrol stations had no fuel. Daniel Ruto, a resident of Soin, travelled for more than 80 kilometres to Kericho town hoping to fuel, but to his surprise, no petrol station had fuel.
Tumengojea tangu asubuhi, hata wengine walingojea tangu jana. Sasa hatujaona dalili yote, tumezunguka town mzima, hakuna petrol.
Hapo kabisa bwana, imekuwa mafuta. Sijui serikali inatuelekeza upande gani.
With the reopening of schools, PSVs and boda riders say they are losing business as they spend hours queuing at filling stations for fuel.
Pikipiki ziko, kazi iko, watoto wa shule wako, kupeleka shule hakuna juu ya petrol. Sasa tunasumbukana sana, hata watoto wetu wenye wanaenda shuleni saa hizi hata tunashindwa watafanya namna gani.
They are calling on the government to address the crisis. A spot check in Mombasa established that fuel supplies had normalized. Chicken, pizza and burgers are the top 3 most ordered food items online in the country. This is according to the Jumia Food Index that indicates that Kenyans are becoming more creative and less traditional in the way they source for their daily meals. Now, Jumia Kenya CEO Betty Mwangi says the growing internet penetration is driving uptick of e-commerce services, with shoppers increasingly ordering for non-traditional items.
There are 23.35 million internet users in Kenya in January 2022, with the internet penetration rate at 42% of the total population. Data from the Communication Authority of Kenya indicates that internet users increased by 1.6 million between 2021 and 2022. Internet users are projected to hit 53.6% by 2025. Players in the e-commerce industry believe expanding internet penetration and the middle class would drive uptake of the online trade.
3 years, but super excited now to be bringing Domino's online onto Jumia, which will, of course, offer Domino's the opportunity to, sell to our 3 million plus base of customers. But more importantly, to our customers, we're very passionate about our customers, to offer you now even more choice.
Great. Well, we're very excited, first of all, to bring the Domino's brand onto the Jumia platform. We've been with Jumia for some years as partners with Coldstone Creamery brand, and we've been very happy with the results.
A study on consumer spending revealed that 4 out of 5 surveyed consumers in Kenya are shopping more since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, a trend expected to stay.
I see growth in online and in e-commerce. I see a huge growth coming there. Not sure that it will ever completely eradicate that little supermarket trip, but definitely becoming more and more prevalent and more customers coming on board.
To further boost its market share, Jumia Food has inked a deal with Domino's Pizza that will see consumers order for meals across the various Domino's outlets in Nairobi and Mombasa. On its part, from the US franchise, Domino's will be leveraging Jumia's network to expand its reach. Chicken, pizza and burgers are the top 3 most ordered food items in the country.
So we currently have 7 Domino's stores in Kenya. 6 of them are in Nairobi, 1 in Mombasa. We are in the process of doing a big geographical launch in Kenya. We're expecting to double the size of our fleet, so to go to 14 stores by the end of this year. And we see great potential in Kenya, and we want to make sure that we cover all neighborhoods, and we're not there yet in the big cities. The plan is to focus on Nairobi and Mombasa, and then more regionally into Kisumu, into potentially Nyanyuki, but definitely Nakuru, definitely Eldoret as well.
Well, that's how we wrap up business news for tonight. Karen Kibet is coming up next with the sports update. My name is Carol Jenga. Have a good night.
Did you know that while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause? Stop these crashes before they stop you. Ensure that you adhere to traffic rules to prevent these crashes. Always observe the fatal 6 to be safe. When driving, please ensure that your speed is within the stipulated limits, the road ahead is clear before overtaking, stick to your lane, keep left unless carefully overtaking. Ensure that you are well rested before driving on long distance, and never drink and drive. Usalama barabarani starts with you. Fika salama. This message is brought to you by NTSA and the European Union.
Mimi nilijua tu amekasirika.
Amekasirika vipi? How?
Ni madhara gani hawa nionyesha mimi? Ha?
Ni hasira zako. Hizo zisizokuwa na maana ndio zimefanya haya yakatokea.
Wakili, nenda katafute kazi tu.
That enough is enough, eh? I've had enough of you. Umesikia? Mimi nimelala peke yangu hapa kitanda hiki leo.
Toka kabla nikuaibishe.
Welcome back to Prime Edition. Let's now get sporty. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, the first batch of Team Kenya to the 24th Summer Deaf Olympics left the country today evening for Brazil, with the second batch expected to leave the country later tonight. The contingent comprised of the national women deaf football team.
The first batch of Team Kenya to the Deaf Olympics in Brazil left the country today ahead of the games set to be held from the 1st of May to 15th of May, with football getting the Summer Games underway. Kenya will play their first match against Japan on the 3rd of May. Their second match will be against the hosts one day later, and then clash with Poland and the US on the May 7th and 9th respectively.
The team is about 80%, and the 3 weeks we've been in camp, the players have really pushed themselves, and I believe the preparation, the government has really supported us. The players of whom we remained with, I think they are good, and I believe by the time we start our first match, that's when the exams will start.
The national women deaf football team, under the tutelage of Coach Ben Bella, is gracing the global championship for the first time ever.
We'll be there for some days, maybe a week before we start our matches, so I feel we will adapt to the weather.
Since the matches are being played in a round-robin format, Kenya only needs to register 2 victories to be in the medal bracket. Athletics men and women, basketball men and women, handball men and women, and golf men are the other Kenyan teams expected to travel in the course of this week for the games.
Thank you, Barkley, for that report. Moving on, Tennis Kenya organized an exhibition match fundraiser for young tennis sensation Angela Okutoi at the Karen Country Club. The fundraiser event was aimed at helping Okutoi meet her expenses as she sets off her eyes on furthering her stint in professional tennis.
Angela, who broke the ceiling following her recent success at the Australian Open in January, when she became the first Kenyan female to win a Grand Slam juniors match, will be looking to write history in the Kenyan tennis scene when she makes appearances at the French Open and Wimbledon respectively.
From the first Australian Open, I just went there to enjoy and I reached the 3rd round. But this time for the remaining Grand Slams, I have a goal and I really want to win one of them if possible. So I'm not waiting for each history to be made so that I can make a goal for myself. No, I have a goal already and my goal is to win a Grand Slam.
Angela has used continental events in Morocco and Egypt in the recent past to prepare for these major world events. She will be going for a camp sponsored by the International Tennis Federation, where she will be put in training with the Grand Slam team in Italy for 2 weeks, after which she will be exposed to 2 events whose standards are equivalent to those of the Grand Slam to set the mood for the French Open.
Angela is going for a training camp. Luckily, International Tennis Federation came in handy to put her in a team. There's a team called the Grand Slam team.
Okutoi will go to a 1-week camp to familiarize herself with the grass court, which is the playing field at Wimbledon in the United Kingdom. For sports, I am Nora Mongi. Angela is set to play in the later on.
Thank you, Nora, for that report. Now, over 1,200 junior athletes who have been in residential training camps for the past 3 weeks have been released. The athletes, spread across 26 camps in several parts of the country, were assigned coaches and physiotherapists in preparation for the national trials slated for July, where Athletics Kenya will select a team to defend the global title in Cali, Colombia from the 1st to the 6th of August. Athletics Kenya officials assessed all the camps to determine the progress as well as motivating the junior athletes.
I participate in 100 and 200 meters. Our camp is good. We enjoy being here and we love our coaches and the way they are training us. Yeah, I like to go to Colombia to explore Colombia and also to represent Kenya as an under-20 athlete. My ambition is to be the champion, maybe, yeah, and also to help others, those who will come after me.
Some other time nikitrain huwa nakosa sports za kutrain na moso sana na cones na spikes, inakuwa vigumu sana. Na unajua sasa background nayo unajua si wote wanajiweza, so tunangangana tu mahali unajaribu unafika hapo.
Still in athletics, it's all systems go ahead of this year's National Athletics Trial set to kick off tomorrow at the Mboya International Sports Centre, Kasarani. Athletes, coaches and federations have finalized their training programs ahead of the national event. Among the big names likely to feature is Africa 100-meter record holder Ferdinand Omanyala and reigning world 1500-meter champion Faith Kipyegon. The 3-day event will see athletes battle it out, aiming to secure the available slots to represent Kenya in the Africa Senior Athletics Championships and the Commonwealth Games. And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight.
I wanted to say thank you, Marakwet.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And I'm just busy here going through the...
Honorable Festus Michael, I know that's what you're looking for. Can I start off with this one?
Yes.
He says, Williams from Makweni, I remember Mwai Kibaki's jokes and he gives examples. Open quote, wewe ni bure kabisa. Hauna mahana wewe. Bure kabisa wewe. End of quote.
Some of the light moments there. And then we also have Chitiko, all right, who is saying that Peter from Lenana Ngong Road, to me, I remember Museo for bringing up free primary education and opening up so many learning institutions. Actually, Museo played a big role in the field of education. I salute you, Museo. Rest in peace. We will miss you.
We have Anganga Mustafa, who's also saying President Kibaki was a success story politically, inspired generations, and may his soul rest in peace.
Absolutely. Remember, the body continues to lie in state.
3 days.
For 3 days, tomorrow and Wednesday. Feel free to go and, pay your last respects.
That's right.
That's all you have to wrap it up. It's always a great pleasure having your company. I'm Purity Museo, and Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow, God willing. Good night and God bless.
And I'm Mboya. Bye-bye.